Hey guys, all right, I am back again and we're ready to proceed. Step 2 for sourdough. It's been about 20 minutes or so since I got this started, so I can already see that it's nicely incorporated. And I'm just going to measure out the salt and show you that you can actually add some other things to this as well. So this recipe calls for 10 grams of salt. I use a really nice quality Mediterranean sea salt. One tip, when I'm using our table salt, I get, just show you what kind of table salt. One of the things, this is a tip from Dr. Gundry. And you'll hear different facts, but I get this sea salt extra coarse, put it in the grinder. I get it iodized now. We need some iodine, and that was one of the things that he says was one of the only good things that the government actually did, was to add iodine into our salt. So it's a good idea to have some iodine. It helps with autoimmune diseases. It's really great for your thyroid. And you know, we don't consume enough of this to make it an issue. Okay, Crystal, where would I buy a starter? You can make a starter, or you can actually order online. I'm not sure where you live. Maybe pop that on here. King Arthur Bread has, from what I've heard, I've never ordered any of their products, but they have a starter that dates back to King Arthur. It's been around for centuries. So you can do that, or you can make your own. It does take a while to get your own going, but it will. Or you can also go on to some of the groups that find a Facebook group. There's one that I'm on. For sourdough. You're in Washington State, Crystal? Should be easy to find one. There's a lot of bakers down in Washington State. Go on to, it's a sourdough group that I belong to, and you'll be able to probably find somebody there. But yeah, within a couple of days on Amazon or going on to King Arthur, you'll be able to get a starter. All right, I'm going to go ahead and do my salt here. So this calls for 10 grams per loaf. I'm doing 2 loaves, so I want 20 grams. So just got my salt there. I'll lift this guy back up. You can see that that's looking beautiful. And I'm going to make, I like to add, I'm not going to do olives today just because I don't have a lot of time, but I do like to add pesto to my bread. And I get this pesto from Costco. It's just the Kirkland basil pesto made with 100% imported Italian basil. So, I mean, everything that's in this is good for you. It's good quality. There's nothing in there that you shouldn't have. I don't measure. I apologize, guys, but I just take a big couple of glops of this and add it in. That's my basil. So yummy, so good for you. Basil's so good for you. So that's pesto again. That's just from Costco. You can get that in Canada and the US. And then I'm going to add some of this really nice Italian Parmesan. This is from Costco as well. These are a couple of products that do come recommended. If you're doing Parmesan, you want to get the real Parmesan. Don't use that green bottle. It's just not good for you. Okay, I'm going to put this back down, and I'm just going to let that incorporate in here. So I've added the salt. At this point as well, if you want to make a sweet bread, you could do raisins, you could do dates, you could do nuts. I put pesto and Parmesan. A lot of times I'll do a Kalamata. I get these ones, again, from Costco. This is a really nice brand. Kalamata olives, and they're pitted. So you want to take those out, drain them on a paper towel, and just cut them into smaller pieces. Makes for a beautiful olive loaf. I've also done before, I'll use some of my local cheese sometimes. I don't think you can see me right now. You need garlic. I've got a local farmer that I get my garlic from. Banana peppers. I know people that add beets. I mean, try experimenting. Jalapeno and cheddar is another really good one as well. What else have I got going on? Oh, this weekend I'm probably going to get some more sauerkraut going. So I picked up a couple of nice fresh heads of cabbage yesterday, and I'll probably, if anybody wants to see how I do the sauerkraut, I can do a video on that as well. And again, if you have any fermentation questions, shoot it here. I did, for those of you that were watching the other day, and I bottled that kombucha with the orange oolong, and then I put some pear and raspberry. I just had my first bottle of that. It was awesome. All right, we've got this just about ready to go here. And then I'll show you what I do. So you just want to incorporate it. Again, if you missed the first video, go back and look for that. This is a no-knead sourdough bread. I'm just going to take that bit that's gone up there. And the secret with working with bread dough is to get your hands wet. And then it's so easy to work with. So you just want to get all of that yumminess off there and clean your stuff right away. Otherwise it's going to be like trying to get concrete off of that. So I'm just going to take this dough and I'm going to put it into one of my big Tupperware bowls. Because over the next couple hours now, you're going to do what's called a stretch and fold, and I'll just show you what that is. And what you're trying to do is now get that gluten activated. Again, when you're doing sourdough, it's kind of like it's pre-digested, so it's much easier on your system. And you want to use good quality organic flours. This is a 60-40 baker's blend. I'll find the actual combination of that. I get this from Anita's mill here on the west coast of British Columbia. So I've got that all in there. I'll show you what stretch and fold means. You're going to want to stretch and fold this about 4 times over the next, you can give it 15, 20, but I mean, you can leave it a little bit longer than that as well. So this is stretch and fold. You just want to get your hand wet. You want to go under. You want to pull that dough up, and you want to just turn it, quarter of a turn, and do this 4 times. And that's it. You'll see that the dough is starting to actually take some substance on here. By the time you're finished doing your 4th one, it'll be a really nice elastic consistency. Now I've got to pop out for a little while, so I'm probably going to just scoop this into the fridge. What time is it now? 12:30. I have to leave in a half an hour. So I'm going to do 2 of those stretch and folds at 15-minute intervals, put the lid on, and then I'm going to pop it in the fridge just to slow down the fermentation. What you don't want to do with your sourdough is to overproof it. So if this was to stay out, it's warm. By the time I got back, it's going to be really big. I mean, if you're going to be around, you can do that. I just really find I get a much, much nicer loaf when I slow down the fermentation by putting it in the fridge. And so that's the next couple of steps that I'm going to do is those 2 stretch and folds. I'll pop it in the fridge. When I get back, this is called bulk fermentation. I'll leave this in the fridge probably until I get back from the concert late tonight. Then I'll divide it in half. I mean, I can do a live at that time. Probably a lot of you will be in bed, but I can do it. You can actually just even leave that overnight as well. Once it's in the fridge, it's going to really slow down the fermentation. So there's no set rule about how quickly you have to do this. Some people take 3-4 days to make their sourdough. So at that time, I will cut it in half, let it rest for a little bit on the counter, and then I'm going to put it into what's called a banneton. I'll show you some of the ones that I use. And this is just for that final proof, and it gets the shape. So these are some of the different bannetons that I have. This one is more in a oblong shape. I use the round ones a lot, but what I've started doing now is using these little guys. I've got a set of 6 of these, so I can do 6 little loaves from this 2-loaf recipe. And I think that's what I'm probably going to do tonight, get those little loaves going, and they're nice for giving away and they stay nice and fresh. So watch for the next video on that. A couple other tools that you might want to pick up. You don't need a whole lot. What have I got? Some of my favorite tools that I use. Where is that thing? Oh, this. This is just a nice thing for cutting your dough and shape. So like I said, Banneton. Oh, and I cook, actually the little ones I just cook in a regular pot, but if you want to, you might want to pick up like a Dutch oven, because I always cook my breads inside of something like that, and it just makes them rise nicer because it keeps all of the moisture, all the humidity inside the vessel, and it keeps the crust softer so that it's as it's rising, it doesn't get too hard, and so you're going to get a much better rise. And I'll show you all those steps. So there we go. I'm just going to stretch and fold this over the next half hour, 40 minutes before I have to leave the house to go for an appointment. Pop that in the fridge with the lid on. I'll often put a piece of paper towel on top of it because it can get kind of humid in there. And that's it. Okay. So pop any of your questions. Let me know if you're watching this live or if you're watching it on the replay, and then watch for my next one. And I'll put these all over on my page, A Gut Feeling, as well, so that you can watch them in order. Okay. See you soon, guys.